It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. From Fantatrax TV, this is Good Morning Tatooine!
Good morning, Tatooine indeed. We are back once again with your weekly recap of everything Star Wars and Lucasfilm. I'm Brian Cameron, and joining me, as always, is my friend in the Force, Mr. Paul Naylor.
Oh, my Star Wars buddy. How are you, matey? Okay.
Yeah, it's been a hectic week, but we've survived. It's Sunday night. We're live. We're talking Star Wars.
I know how it feels. I'm on deadline for this, that, and the other, and I've been to see my daughter down in Kilburn as well. So it's been a bit of a hectic one here as well. Yeah.
Lots to discuss this week. Should we check out what we're going to be talking about tonight?
Let's go for it, mate.
So first up, Star Wars is part of Free Comic Book Day 2025. We'll be having a look at the issue that's just been announced.
And 5 years after the release of The Rise of Skywalker, we finally get a comic adaptation. Took their time with that one.
They did indeed. The Star Wars Outlaws has had its first major update in DLC. We'll be checking out everything new on that.
And with Thanksgiving rapidly approaching in America, we thought it'd be nice to see what we're thankful for regarding Star Wars.
Indeed. If you've got a very nice friend, they might buy you something from the Columbia Sportswear, the Vader collection, for Christmas. We'll be doing a deep dive into everything announced part of that.
We've had a look at that. There's some nice coats there with deep pockets, but you'll need deep pockets to buy them, won't you, Brian? In terms of gifting the galaxy as well, we're into week 2, and we've got some nice stuff that's come through. There's a lightsaber that will tug at the heartstrings, as well as a particularly nice vintage collection action figure pack coming out.
Yep, and fans of animation will be excited to know that third season of Star Wars Visions is going to be coming in 2025. We'll be hearing what studios are involved in that.
Yeah. And then, Brian, you'll be leading us on the latest at Rancho Obi-Wan, where they've got an online auction ongoing.
Yep, indeed. And last but not least, all the Skeleton Crew news, Paul, that you'll be letting us know all about as well. So lots to discuss tonight, and I reckon we should probably get stuck straight into it, because it's a jam-packed hour. So first up, Free Comic Book Day comes back 3rd of May, almost the commercial Star Wars Day this year. If you don't know, Free Comic Book Day is when you can walk into your local comic shop and they will give you a free comic. Star Wars has been front and center on quite a number of occasions, and again in 2025 there's going to be a Star Wars issue 1 Free Comic Book Day from writers Alex Segura, Charles Soule, and Mark Guggenheim, along with artists Phil Noto, Luke Ross, Stefano Raphael, and Madabik Musabekov. I hope that's how you pronounce it.
Glad you had to say that.
Yeah. And it's going to be Luke Skywalker focused adventure, but you'll also get Qui-Gon Jinn and his own adventure in there, and a tale with Darth Vader and Kylo Ren, of all people. So lots of little stories in there that could be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, you got your 3 trilogies all covered in one thing. Now, I know you're a bit of a comic book collector, Brian. Will you be going into the shop, coming out with your copy, and then going back in wearing a hat and a moustache or something like that?
My nearest comic shop is now a 4.5-hour drive from me.
They'll definitely be taking some disguises to get more than one copy.
So many of the comic shops up where I stay are closed, or they've evolved into, well, my nearest and dearest has evolved into a goth clothes shop. Still owned by the same people that had the comic shop, would you believe it or not? So yeah, it's very rare that I get to walk into a comic shop nowadays. Sadly, I'm in the world of online purchasing whenever I pick up something. So
this is often to find a way of getting hold of that.
Yeah, this is often one where friends will say, oh, "Do you want me to pick up this for you?" So yeah,
there you go.
So definitely. Don't be tricked into going on eBay and buying these things. They're supposed to be free. Make sure you get one free. And if you have a comic book shop near you, it's a great way to go in and support them, because go in and pick up the free comic book, and you may see something else that you love, and you'll buy that. And that's the whole point of Free Comic Book Day, is to help the independent retailers, in my eyes.
Yeah. And I suppose by announcing the date as early as they have, it gives people a chance to plan about going out that day and getting the copy that they want.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up on the news, Paul, is a comic
Yeah.
that's been long awaited.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem quite weird that we've had to wait 5 years for the comic book adaptation of the Rise of Skywalker. I mean, we've had some long lead-in times. I think The Mandalorian took a couple of years before it came out, and I think we're only up to season 2 on that, if I'm
Yeah.
correct. Um, but yeah, why on earth it takes so long to turn these around? I've no idea.
Well,
But still, yeah, go
this
on. You
one
probably
was
know.
announced back 5 years ago with the same writing and artist team, and a lot of the same covers and art are being replicated in the most recent announcement. So
Right.
it was one of the victims of COVID and all the printing issues that they had, and I think they picked and chose what projects to continue with and try and publish, and this one just went by the wayside.
It's still very odd, isn't it?
Yeah, so as Mr. Newball was saying, already written and drawn, so it literally has just been sitting on a bookshelf waiting for someone to publish it. It's,
Yeah,
I'd never known this in comics, where they've electively chosen not to continue with something that's already been written and drawn, if it
yeah.
wasn't for a story reason, if that makes sense. And obviously
I mean,
this story is part of canon, obviously.
yeah, yeah. I mean, back in the day when Star Wars Weekly first came around in, I think February '78 or whenever it was, um, that was, that had been pen and inked well before Star Wars came out, because it included some of the scenes that were later cut, including Jabba the Hutt and the stuff with Biggs and Luke and everything. So why they couldn't have sort of done a version nice and early on, I don't know. It
Yeah.
just does seem a little bit late to the party, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. They make an interesting point. The editor of the Star Wars range, Mark Panacea, makes an interesting point that because of the resurgence and interest in these characters, especially Kylo Ren, Darth Vader's blood heir, that's why
Yeah,
they're now releasing it. And obviously they've had recent stories published involving Kylo Ren, and obviously they've done commercially well, and they've probably seen we've got an opportunity here to
yeah.
make free money, because I'm sure the bills for this have long been paid.
I would have thought so. But I mean, it's a fifth anniversary celebration, I suppose. But yeah, I agree with you, Jack. The cover's great. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, as Mark's saying, like, it's very rare a whole adaptation not being released happens. But yeah, we'll give them the COVID excuse. I kind of
Well,
think it was because of the reaction of the movie that they were like, let's not bring this upon our own heads. But that's just me being mean. So that's the Rise of Skywalker. One second, there we go. Technology, there we go. Next up, Star Wars Outlaws. Big week for Star Wars Outlaws is they've done their first big update, which has changed a lot of the fundamentals of the game, especially around stealth mode. Also released the first major DLC as well. And to add credit to them on top of all that, they've been given 3 nominations at the Game Awards for Best Performance, Innovation and Accessibility, and Best Action Adventure Game.
yeah.
It's a great game. I played probably about 3-4 hours of it and had a lot of fun. I hated the stealth mode, the way that it was done, so I'm glad that they've changed that up. I haven't played it since the update came out at the tail end of last week, but I'm looking forward to giving it a go. And obviously, as I mentioned as well, the Wildcard story pack has also come out on the 21st of November. So if you're a big fan of card games and sit back, That's a must for you. You can buy it individually, or if you're part of the Ubisoft Plus or you bought the season pass, you'll get that for free. You get outfits as well. Part of the Hunter's Legacy bundle and the Cattell Ronin bundle as well. I think there's a head garb as well for nicks that you can win as part of the Ubisoft rewards program. All sorts of things, and you can also buy another forest outfit as well. So there's loads there, and we can actually check out a trailer, Paul.
Yeah, let's go for that.
I'll fire that up.
Hey, Vess, I've got a client who wants to make you rich.
Governor Thornton.
There's an exclusive sabacc tournament being held on the casino cruiser Morenia.
I don't work for the Empire.
I could have the entire underworld believing otherwise. All you need to worry about is finding the Morenia. Grand prize is of exceptional value. You're going to win it for me.
How? The player list is confidential.
Nothing stays secret in a place like this.
So this is the sabacc legend we've been waiting for?
Oh yeah, we go way back.
Let the game commence!
I'm not the only one who saw that, right?
Wait. I wasn't cheating. This is a mistake.
For the all of the earth!
Your hyperfuel intake's a mess.
Don't you have your own ship?
You should probably get the weapons ready.
Give me a regular report. Think you can handle it?
All right, strap in.
So stunningly gorgeous, but obviously that's a lot of cutscenes, Paul, and not actual gameplay. But great to see Lando in there as well.
Yeah, it's a stunning looking product, isn't it? I mean, it really does feel sort of like Solo, and it's got that real Solo vibe to it. I think that the Lando rendition is really good as well. It's kind of like a cross between the two versions of Lando, if you like. Not quite Billy D, but yeah, nice looking stuff. I still think they're missing a trick by not having the option to play as a male character, and this would have perhaps been a good opportunity for them to have sort of like, is it Kay, the main character?
Yep.
To have had Kay and Lando as playable characters.
Yeah, and I think that's a big criticism, and justified as well, because when you have open world games, I always go back to Skyrim as being the ultimate open world game. They can play as 8, 9, 10 different characters, and the gender of the characters kind of irrelevant. It's all about the story, and I think they could have quite easily, especially in this story, did that. Obviously, they're trying to keep things so it can be part of canon and a genuine storyline, and thus forcing you down a single character story, the same as they did with the Jedi series, where it's one character you can only play. But I kind of feel it loses a little bit. Sometimes you've got to sacrifice the canon story for the actual gameplay.
Yeah, but no, it does look really good. I know my son Matthew plays it, so I think he'll be getting the update. And what I've seen of it, I really like. I know what I'm like. I've got a very addictive personality. If I start playing this, that's all I'll do. I won't get any work done. So I'm probably best steering clear of it.
Jonathan's saying in the comments there that the update's been desperately needed, that should have done a lot sooner before the game released. I agree. It's kind of the way that they seem to do games now, and that games are released not quite complete. But I guess at least they recognise the complaints and they've addressed the complaints. I haven't played it since this latest update and the changes to the gameplay. So I can't comment that it's improved, but certainly they were aiming to improve the things that I didn't like. Mr. Newbold making a comment, an English villain, never. Mark, you're making the error that the Empire are evil. They're not. I could rant on that. But we'll let you off at this point in time. We'll let you off at this point in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Star Wars Outlaws. So big week for Star Wars Outlaws. A lot of updates there, and great to see.
Yeah. Looks really good.
Yeah. Should we head to Jabba's court?
Why not?
We should. Let's fire it up. Oh, we went black there for a moment. But we're back. We're back.
Power down.
Yeah.
So the big one this week, Bri, is that and this was your idea, and it's a really good one. Is obviously whilst we don't have this over in the UK, we are more than familiar with Thanksgiving taking place in America. And a little bit of autumn leaves. Sorry, fall.
It's the fall.
The fall to the dark side. So yeah, you came up with the notion of discussing what part of Star Wars we're most thankful for, which is a real nice open question. Go on then, Brian. You've probably given this some thought. What are you most thankful for?
Well, to me, since Disney took over Star Wars, there's been a lot of negativity where they've lost a big part of the fandom in terms of not everyone's been happy with the content or had a mixed response to the content. So it's been difficult, I think, being a Star Wars fan in the past decade, because it's kind of led to a big surge in people who are able to produce negative Star Wars content and profit off that, and it becomes like a business to them and a full-time occupation to criticize Star Wars. And there doesn't seem to have been a way that Lucasfilm have been able to counter that. And other than the fans themselves, and that's why what I'm thankful for is the Star Wars community and the friendships that we make within Star Wars, because I think in a large part that is what has kept people like myself going, whilst there's been content. I did enjoy the sequel trilogy, for example. I've enjoyed quite a lot of the TV content. I'm not into animation at all, so in terms of content for me, the past decade has been quite slim. And I collected every single comic and book, and I kind of gave that up a couple of years back as well, because I wasn't enjoying the content that was being produced. And so for me, I'm being disappointed by the content we've been getting from Star Wars, but what's kept it going for me has been Star Wars fandom and going to conventions and meeting friends that you don't necessarily see other than only at conventions, and that whole side of it. And so that's what I'm most thankful for. And I think as long as Star Wars has that community amongst us, and we've got those of us who are here to enjoy Star Wars for what it is, the good and the bad, I think it survives.
Yeah, I mean, you've touched on the two things that I was going to say. So, one, I was going to say that I'm thankful that Star Wars is about in any form, because for a long time we didn't get anything. In the old days, obviously we were thankful of, every 3 years that we had something Star Wars come along. But I think in many ways we're spoiled these days with the volume of content. It makes it easier to be picky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But more than anything else, and again, this was the major point that you made, it's been the friendships and the camaraderie between people that I would never have met had it not been for a shared love of Star Wars. I was sat at work at the newspaper I worked at just around the time when Disney were taking over the license, and I had a phone call come in from somebody I'd never met. Said, hello, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Mark Newbold. I'd like to help you with your Star Wars content at the newspaper. I said, well, funnily enough, that's what I do here. And one thing led to another. We met up, and that all those years ago introduced me to yourself, Bri, and obviously to Matt and to various other characters in the group. And I consider you to be amongst my best friends now. And so Star Wars is giving me my friends. So
I've got a question that's going to just blow this whole thing up.
Go on then.
Did Mr. Newbold contact the newspaper because he wasn't happy with the Star Wars content?
I think he contacted it thinking that he could be the savior. No, I hadn't had a chance to write much at that point in time. I think one of the first articles I wrote, which was before I became a journalist, was about the cheers, Jack. So yes, so you should, Mark. One of the first articles I wrote about was The Phantom Menace, and having seen it and then having to write an article the next day, I really didn't know where I sat with The Phantom Menace. So I actually structured the whole article about the feeling of seeing a Star Wars film again after all those years, and how me and my brother went along and had the shared experience of seeing a new Star Wars film 16 years after we'd seen Return of the Jedi. So that kind of got me out of jail on that one because at that point in time, I really didn't know how I felt about The Phantom Menace. Again, it's something that I've grown to appreciate over years. And hopefully, one day maybe that'll happen with the sequel trilogy. I do still maintain Episode 7 is great.
Yeah. One of Jack's highlights, I'm just scrolling back in the comments. I'm just gonna put the comment back up on the screen. Highlight was meeting me. What can I say?
Now I did see that come up on the screen, but I decided to wash over that.
Yeah. And Chris saying there, 12 years on, friendships there. It's
yeah.
And I think that is the best thing, and I think it is the real thing to be thankful for. We're always going to get Star Wars content, I think, where before that probably wasn't a thing. We're free and able to like and dislike stuff, debate it in a healthy way. And I think as long as you're debating in a healthy way, you're a little bit better than the people that just want to profit out of the attacks. I think it's easy to identify the ones that glorify and be negative, and I will always hate droids in Star Wars animation. That is my thing, and I will always criticize. But I did go to Droid Builders Convention this year and had a great time. So even amongst my hatred of droids, there's still great people there.
Your love for the Empire is surpassed only by Palpatine and Vader themselves as well, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I'm going to throw up this comment from Mark as well, because I think it's an important one as well. The feeling of seeing a Star Wars film is often more important than whether it's a great film or not. The one thing I miss terribly is seeing Star Wars as part of a large crowd. And I don't necessarily mean necessarily in cinema, because often, especially in the UK, we don't cheer and holler like we do perhaps in America. If you're going to see Wicked, by the way, if you start singing, you're getting popcorn thrown at you.
Apparently, Mr. Newbold's been to see it. Ooh.
Yeah. I've seen it, but it's nothing like the content that they were advertising on the website on the back of their toys. So I came away disappointed. It was like seeing Rogue One, where the trailer's nothing like the content in the final film. So yeah, don't know, just not for me.
I've never seen that version of Rogue One either.
If you Google it, you can find it. But the collective viewing experience, and it's kind of been limited to. I remember watching the film together in the park in Germany. At Star Wars Celebration, and then watching an episode of The Mandalorian as part of Star Wars Celebration as well was fantastic. That part of it, the collective viewing. So I'm actually looking forward to Star Wars going back into the cinema. I have issues perhaps with the direction it's going to go to the cinema.
But when you're at Celebration or another event where they premiere a trailer and you're there as a group and you're there as a bunch of grown-up sort of adults, they put a trailer on for 2 minutes and you stood there and you're probably in tears. I mean, the classic example was Chewie, We're Home. I mean, people just lost it big time, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Mark, who went to see Wicked, sang Let It Go at the top of his right.
Oh dear. Bless him.
Jonathan making a point there. He didn't like episodes 8 and 9 of the sequel trilogy. Other than that, he thought everything else has been fine. And I think probably a lot of people are a little bit like that. I think we can afford to be a little bit picky. I didn't like the Power Rangers in the Book of Boba Fett, but it didn't ruin the Book of Boba Fett for me. I didn't like the Mandalorian taking over for 2 episodes either, but in terms of content,
I
it
like
was
it.
it made sense in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of bit of things you don't like, but nothing that makes you not like Star Wars, I think. Yeah, Mark's agreeing as well there with the Chewie we're home moment. He's on an Australian documentary in the background crying his eyes out. There we go. I didn't know that. You must send me the link to this documentary, Mark.
Yeah. What's it about?
But yeah,
yeah.
a lot of things like that. I don't think you can top that as a Star Wars film. And I think when I always get made fun of for being a Star Wars film or Star Wars fan. It's the moments like that people don't understand. It's not necessarily about Star Wars. It's about the whole community, and it sort of transcends Star Wars in a way.
It's our FA Cup, isn't it? You know, the same way that you have somebody that's really into a particular football team. When they don't get what you get from Star Wars, you just talk to them about what they're into, and it clicks. It clicks with them, you know.
Yeah.
Broken.
Mark, it's My Saga's a documentary. You'll see Mr. Newbold and yeah, it's free to watch now on YouTube. I did. I think it's been out quite a while now as well.
I think I've seen that. Yeah.
Christy sat down to watch The Rise of Skywalker, had some tearful moments. I'm actually going to make a point of watching it over Christmas, I think, because I haven't watched it since it was in the cinema. And every time I see clips from it, I'm like, oh, I can't remember that. And I need to go back and watch it to see if my opinions changed any. I don't think it will. I think it was a bit of a cluster, bad word, of a movie, and I think it was a victim of the backlash that the Last Jedi got, and they were trying to course correct a little bit, and it just became a production mess. I think nobody's fault, trying to achieve too much in little time.
Yeah, I do love the Kylo and Han Solo scene.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Yeah.
Jack saying his wife said The Force Awakens is not a Christmas film. All Star Wars is Christmas films, aren't they? I started my Christmas film watching this week with Planes, Trains and Automobiles, technically Thanksgiving, so it's more appropriate to this week.
Good choice. I had Home Alone on in the background while I was working. Yeah.
Mark saying episode 9 is a far better rewatch than you might imagine.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Jonathan saying The Empire Strikes Back will always be his all-time favourite. Revenge of the Sith, I do love Revenge of the Sith, to be fair. It's a much maligned trilogy, the prequel trilogy. People's opinions have kind of changed recently, but I love Revenge of the Sith. When you actually see, it's the film where you see Palpatine standing up for democracy against the religious zealots of the Jedi. It's great. Jack's big fan episode 9, and that's what makes Star Wars fandom brilliant, because we all find different things to love, isn't it?
And then when we chat about it when we meet up, people explain why they like it, people explain why they don't like it, but we can still share a beer afterwards. It's no problem.
And that's the thing. You go to a celebration or a convention, you never see the Star Wars fans breaking up into fisticuffs, do you? It's like it's a healthy debate, and I think when you can push out the negativity that can fester on YouTube and elsewhere online, a conscious negativity. It's not just people healthily debating something. It's people trying to feed the negative algorithm that YouTube pushes. When you rise past that and have the healthy debate, it's fun.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say about Thanksgiving is that earlier this week, a friend of mine who I went to school with, who now lives over in the States, has invited me over next year for Thanksgiving. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Brilliant. I think this is probably the first time in Jabba's Court we've actually come to conclusions where we've all agreed fandom wins. That's what we're most thankful for.
Exactly.
What a perfect way to cap a Jabba's Court. And of course, Jabba's Court's part of Good Morning Tatooine, stream live every Sunday at 9 p.m. in the UK, 4 p.m. New York, and released every Wednesday. Paul, Jabba's Court, a lot of fun this week, I think. Positivity. We're full of positivity this week.
Yeah. It's like a big warm hug in a mug, that was. Yes, lovely.
Yeah. Should we... Let's see if we can find something negative to speak about. Let's go back to the news.
We're ready.
It's not too bad. Columbia Sportswear, beautiful looking collections, going to be available on December 5th.
I thought that was the new Oasis album cover.
If you see these three characters at a Star Wars celebration, don't trust them because they look like they're out to cause trouble. But massive 16-piece collection from Columbia. Obviously, Columbia are very famous for their winter weather kind of gear and so on. Mr. Newbold saying, you're both full of it for sure. I don't know if it's in relation to beer. I don't know.
I think beer, yeah.
But yeah, so Columbia Sportswear. If you check out some of the online content from the UK photo call for the Skeleton Crew this past week, you'll actually see Mr. Newbold sporting some of this before it's even available in the shops. That shows you the power of the gentleman.
Well, he's a model. He's a model, isn't he?
Yes, yeah. Pay a lot of money, I think, to get Mr. Newbold modelling this stuff. And Jack was there, of course, so he saw Mark modelling some of that stuff on Thursday in London. Should have mugged him and took it.
That would have been a bit big on you, Jack, but you should have had that off his back. No problem.
Comment of the week, going to Jonathan here, the new Oasis cover.
It is, isn't it?
We're gonna see Liam rock up in one of these at one of his concerts for sure.
Liam, Noel, and Bonehead, they're all there.
Yeah. Do you want to check out some of the collection?
Yeah.
First up, the interchange jacket. Very pricey at $600, but Columbia stuff is expensive. This winter weather stuff that they do is expensive, but it does look lovely.
You could see Liam Gallagher wearing that, couldn't you? I don't know if he's a Star Wars fan, but I mean, and let's face it, he's probably the only one that can afford it. So,
But yeah, I don't know if I'd pay $600 for it. They don't make it in my size either. This is for slimmer people. But I do kind of like it. It's a very nice inner line, and it kind of gets away. You can get away with it. What I like about clothing ranges that are Star Wars is where it's subtle enough that someone that knows, but maybe Mr. Joe Public doesn't. And this kind of falls into that kind of category.
And that's nice how it's sort of like you can take the long part off and then just go with that padded inner jacket, which is quite nice, isn't it? Yeah.
You can go for a pair of boots, Vader boots at $200. Nice, but again, outside my price range.
Yeah.
Vader Parker at $350. A little bit more within my price range. Kind of looks nice.
So what's that in UK currency? Is that about 200, 210, something like that?
Yeah, not too far off that. Yeah. You get a Vader convertible jacket where the arms come off, so you can go sleeveless. And now I've got no idea who would go sleeveless with that body part and then no sleeves. But if I ever see anyone at a Star Wars convention with that sleeveless, I'm going to give you a big bear hug. That's just a warning to the world.
I look like a young farmer. I don't mean a moisture farmer.
Yeah. You can get a Vader hoodie at $120. Or a baseball cap at $40.
Yeah.
A Vader Tech half zip long sleeve at $80.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but I think it's a trackie. A shell suit is kind of that.
It's probably somewhere in the sleeve to store your iPhone when you go for a jog. As if Star Wars fans jog. Please, come
on. T-shirts.
Yeah.
A bucket hat. So it is aiming for the Oasis crowd, isn't it?
We're back to Oasis, yeah.
It's looked at like, what would Liam Gallagher like? In fact, you know the $600 jacket? You can get a signed one from Hayden Christensen for $2,000.
Really?
Yeah. Nice. One that is for the bigger gentleman, extended size. The short sleeve shirt, $60. The one that I quite like is the crossbody bag at $60. That's got the little zip-off pouch at the front. Might actually go for that.
It's still quite pricey though, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. The bucket hat, Luke's Tatooine hat, that's true.
Yeah.
A long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
And a water bottle. It's $40. And Darth Vader's belt at 50. And I think last but not least, a packable quilted blanket for $85, which again is coming back to this. Columbia's, it's for the sort of outdoor hiker, winter kind of weather, snow gear kind of people. So
it's a strange choice of image for that, isn't it? Really, but yeah.
And if you're feeling really affluent at this time of the year, or you've got someone that's going to be really generous for a Christmas gift, $40 for a pair of socks.
2 pairs. You get 2 pairs though, bro. You know.
Oh, it's true. Red and black. And that is the Vader collection. So it is very nice. Not within my budget, I don't think.
No.
But,
I mean, if I could have anything out of that, it would be that first jacket, the long jacket. What about yourself? The bag?
Yeah, if I had the money, I would go for the jacket. Doesn't come in my size, so we'll use that as an excuse for not getting it. But yeah, I kind of like the little hold all bag. Very jealous at every convention when I see Mr. Newbold with his little over the shoulder bag. I think he's kind of got one that's kind of like a X-Wing pilot kind of one, if I remember rightly. So I do fancy that.
Thinks he's Indiana Jones. That's his problem.
Yeah. Jack's going for the boots stroke trainers.
They are nice.
I once bought it wasn't from Columbia, but Stormtrooper boots.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking, they were so heavy I could never wear them. It was like unbelievable, and it was just like it was like moon boots is the way I would describe them, where you're trying to counteract gravity.
Bet you look like a range trooper. Those big boots where they can clomp around on things.
Yeah. Jonathan's saying it's very expensive, but you're paying for the brand, which is Star Wars. I tend to find everything Columbia, whether it's branded Star Wars or not, is very expensive. I think it's going for the ski market, isn't it?
Of course, Columbia, another Oasis tie-in. But we won't dwell on that. Yeah,
we won't. Next in the news, Paul.
Yes. So Hasbro, it's week 2 of the Star Wars. The Gift of the Galaxy, isn't it? That's the campaign that's going on the run to the festive season, and this is the 2nd week. And so we had some rather nice little offerings last week, didn't we? But what have we got coming this week, Brian?
So this week, a little bit different, and it's all Hasbro products. 2 products focused on this week.
So we've got the Balin Skull lightsaber, which is a nice nod to the late Rey, obviously. So I've never been one to collect lightsabers. I don't know about yourself, Bri, whether you've actually got any. I mean, I've got some of the cheaper sort of.
I've actually got 2 lightsabers hilts.
Oh yeah.
Bought purely so I could get the comic that came with them.
That's dedication.
It is. It's really difficult when you've got to splash out £350 for a box with a lightsaber in it just to get the comic.
Yeah. I have got a couple of, I've got 3 LED lightsabers, but they're the ones that were more sort of for actually playing around with my son at the time. So they've taken a bit of a beating over the years. But these ones, which are obviously very much more sort of display and cosplay sort of related, very nice, but again, quite pricey.
Yeah. I think it was $249.99 available spring next year. I really liked the display for it. I thought that was kind of neat. It's kind of like the Imperial kind of wall. And I thought that was kind of clever. So I quite like that.
It's nice that you can have it with or without the blade as well. So that's
good. Next up.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really an action figure collector, are you, Bri? But I've dabbled over the years. This is nice, but the criticism that this has been getting has been the same for a number of figures in recent times, is that they've gone for the oversized card back on these. where they didn't really need to, and that this really, especially when people pin them to the wall or in some form or other, preferably not through the card, that they don't fit in with the same scale as everything else. So there's been a few mumbles about that online, but I think this is a cracking thing. I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that shared experience of watching an episode or a trailer. I think you were with us when they showed this episode of Mandalorian at Celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it was probably the highlight of season 3, to be honest, that episode.
There wasn't much competition.
There wasn't much competition. A very patchy season, wasn't it? I mean, there were some good bits in there, but
Yeah,
this was
it was. It had a couple
this
of
was a
real
bit.
stinkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack Black. No, but this is a real nice version of IG-12, and with Grogu at the controls. Yes, no, and a little Anzalan, or however you pronounce it. But I do like that.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of neat. It's nice in that it's very different. I know it's a droid and I'm supposed to dislike them, but in terms of action figures, it's not kind of it's a quite a unique mold, and you're getting a lot of little extras with it.
Yeah,
I guess the whole idea of the extended car back is to emphasize the height of the figure rather than a
it
necessity
is.
for the
Yeah.
extended car back. I guess they're trying to showcase that a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. It makes it a standout piece in your collection, I suppose. But yeah, people do tend to like to have the uniformity
You
of
see, you're
the
supposed to take them out of the box. You see, that's the problem. You're supposed to take them out and play with them. You see, I know,
but yeah.
sacrilege.
Yeah, that is probably the nicest VC carded figure that's come out in quite some time. I do like that.
So that is this week's Gift of Galaxy, which wasn't that bad this week. It's normally I hate on it because it's normally
Yeah.
lots of trash products.
Yeah.
With companies that have paid a lot for the license and that are getting some free advertising from Lucasfilm. If you were a cynic, that's what you would think. But this week's was kind of good. Let's see what week 3 brings next week. Is it nears Christmas? As they head further into the weeks, it tends to start pulling out the garbage. But we'll wait and see.
And the only way that we can celebrate that is by you talking about animation. Go for it, Brian.
That's that. I am the animation king when it comes to Star Wars. I just don't watch Star Wars animation. I didn't even watch the Ewoks and droids when I was a kid. I did watch the Gummy Bears, which was really just a promotion for drug enhanced sports. And I think it's actually the Gummy Bears. I think you can actually get it on Disney Plus. I think I might be wrong, but yeah,
you heard it here last.
Yeah, well, someone check that out. I'm sure they do. But it's the most inappropriate program for kids because it's encouraging you to take potions that'll make you stronger and run faster and jump higher. Wrong on every level. Anyway, let's get back to Star Wars
This is
animation.
the most random section we've done yet.
Yeah, that's the most random thing. Drug enhanced. We never thought when we started the show we are going to be talking about drug enhanced sports, but here we are.
No.
Star Wars Visions is coming back for a 3rd season, bringing 9 anime focused episodes back to Disney Plus in 2025. Announced at the APAC Content Showcase from Disney. Production IG, David Production, Kinema, Citrus, Anima, Kamizazi, Duga, Trigger, Witch Studio, Polygon Pictures, and Project Studio Q. I'm sure I've pronounced some of them wrong and people are now laughing.
Better than I would have done.
Are going to be bringing fresh and new adventures from Visions. Big emphasis on, obviously it's anime, but a big emphasis on some Japanese studios there. Which is interesting, tying into Star Wars Celebration coming up very soon in April next year. I think Star Wars Visions is going to be a big push out there.
Yeah, definitely. These are always really good as well. Thanks, Mark. Again, a little bit patchy. The previous 2 seasons of Visions. Some really great stuff in there. Some that don't really sort of tick a box with me. But again, if people like them, they like them. Um, it must be fairly successful to have got to a 3rd season. So,
Yeah.
and it's the sort of thing I like the fact that you've got all these different houses that are able to submit something that will become part of the umbrella of Visions. That's nice. It gives them a chance to sort of do their thing for Star Wars. So I'm sure there'll be some very interesting stuff in there again. I still think that season 1 of Visions, the first episode, I forget what it's called now, but that is stunning. That's the one that's predominantly in black and white, and with the little Ugnaught helper. Yeah, it's amazing.
I
Yeah.
kind of viewed Visions as sort of being experimental, sort of
Yeah.
experimental Star Wars to see what would stick. So I'm kind of surprised, maybe disappointed that one of the studios hasn't been given a project like, we loved what you did in Star Wars Visions episode,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Go make
Yeah.
us a series.
Yeah.
Because I kind
I
of
think it
felt
could
that
happen.
that was maybe the purpose for Star Wars Visions, and they've kind of implied that at various interviews and celebrations previous, that there's a lot more coming to the anime world of Star Wars, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But kind of hinted at spin-off series. We haven't had that yet. Do you think we will?
Yeah, I think ultimately that will happen. I think with anything like Visions, it's something where people can sort of go back and watch an episode time and time again, and there'll be one or two that people will get behind, and they'll think, we've got something we can run with here. But also, I mean, there was a really nice one in season 2, which was from the same people that make Wallace and Gromit from Hardman, which was all about Wedge having some sort of flight academy, I think. And it was really very, very well done. That would be quite interesting to see an Aardman Star Wars series. But these little tasters, they're great. It's a bit like going into B&Q. It's a decorating place for those of you that aren't from the UK. Getting your little sort of like tester pot and sticking it on the wall and seeing whether that's what you want to go with. This is what this is. This is the tester pot of animation. But I would love to see them have a go at expanding on some of these. Another thing I would love to see, which they've done with Marvel, is What If. I would love to see some of those that aren't deemed to be canon, where they can go off and they can do something really weird and wacky. And I'm sure that if people thought that something was absolutely a stunning idea, and enough people sort of like got into it, who knows? That could develop into something else. I love anything like that, where they twist the story. Yeah.
Mr. Newbold basically asking there if it's backdoor pilots. That's going back to the content that was on the Wicked toy packaging.
Yeah.
So we'll move
Don't
swiftly on from there.
Again.
Next up in the news, Rancho Obi-Wan.
Yes,
they have a new fundraiser. The auction's now live. I love Rancho Obi-Wan. It's an amazing place to go and visit. And it's not just because it's not just commercial products, it's fan-made products as well. So it's incredibly unique stuff you see. It is mind-blowing. I highly encourage everyone to become a member, go on a tour, check it out. And they've got some pretty cool items that would be incredibly difficult to get your hands on, because a lot of it's like one-offs or it's crew items and so on up in their auction just now. So check out the link in the show notes. Head on over to Rancho Obi-Wan, give them a little bit of support, and over 120 items up there that you can bid on, and you're bound to get something that you'll love in amongst all that content there.
So this is live now.
Yes.
Yeah, and do we know when it comes to an end?
Not off the top of my head, I don't. But it's going to be coming to a head. I think. I think. Am I right in saying it's all day Tuesday? I think so. I think the auctions will be wrapping up on Tuesday. I think.
Right.
But don't hold me to that.
Okay. So right, I need to have a look at that then. I mean, you've been to Rancho a few times now, haven't you?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I'd love to. Whilst you ask the question, I'm going to type in Rancho Obi-Wan and get an answer to your question.
I'll waffle a bit then. Yeah.
Yeah. You drag the question out.
I'm really good at that. Yeah. Rancho is one of those things that's on my Star Wars bucket list. I mean, I've seen loads of photos from you guys that have been over the years. You, Matt, Mark, different people. Then the video where you actually go into there, and then he's got that rotunda with all the original Star Wars figures on it, and then all the bits and bobs. I love the fact that that when they're going through the bits and bobs that they've got there, they'll pick something really, really random that is like a favorite. You know, it'll be something like a scented eraser from 1982.
Yeah.
Really? You got all this great stuff and you're going on about this? What's this?
But yeah, they run through to December 3rd.
There you go.
So you've
I
got a little
did
bit of
like
time to check them out. Get time to flick through all 120 auctions, see what one you want.
I'm making
Put
a
a bid
note of
in.
that because I'm getting
All the
I'm getting
money's
on there.
going to the charity. The Rancho Obi-Wan keeps the organisation going. And of course, Rancho Obi-Wan are part of the Star Wars Saga Museum. Or sorry, the Saga Museum, we'll call it, right?
Yeah.
Star Wars experience that the collectors are trying to pull together as well and working on as well. So you could read about that on the Rancho Obi-Wan website as well.
Yeah, and that's something that I definitely want to do, and I'm sure that at some point there'll be a delegation from Fanta that'll go to that, and I'm
Absolutely.
hoping to be part of that. Yeah, that'd be great.
Right, next in the news, Kneel Before Jod. Mr.
And I
Newbold's
believe it was
highlight
Mr.
title of the
Newbold
week.
came up with that. Was it
Yeah.
Mr. Newbold? That is the headline of the year. Kneel before Jod. Good Lord. Well done, Mark. Yeah. So, earlier this week, there was a bit of a press junket for the Skeleton Crew. Why on earth they chose to hold it outside in November is beyond
Absolutely,
me.
because it's the best thing to possibly do is the middle of November in the UK is to hold an outside photo call.
What on earth was that
and
about?
little kids freeze on camera.
I mean, okay, yeah, freeze Neil, but you don't have to do it to the rest of the kids. I mean, that's not fair. But no, it looked like an amazing event.
Yeah.
And
we've got a few interviews from it. Do you want to check out some of them? We'll hear from Jod first, and we'll hear from Neil in a little bit.
I was 7 years old in 1977, and so I was the prime age, and like everyone else. I think prior to that, I'd only seen sort of Disney animated films, and then Star Wars hit, and like everyone else around the world, it was sort of a reinvention of cinema. Everyone, it was also very connected to my experience just of going to the cinema. It was like Star Wars was going to the cinema, you know? So it's been a part of my life for years. When John and Chris first pitched it to me, it was a lot of emphasis on mystery, and he's contradictory. It's almost like he doesn't really know who he is himself, so he invents himself in front of everyone. He's different names and different personas. And like I said, that meant there was a lot of room to play. The question is, can the kids trust him? Obviously, a lot of questions have been to me about working with children, and from day one, what was apparent was that they were actually just really wonderful actors, and they arrived ready, and they knew what they had to do. They were also incredibly adept. They really had a sense of, well, they took it very seriously, and that they really had a sense of what was required of them emotionally. But then again, they were also kids. So they brought a huge sense of fun and joy and pleasure, which, tonally was perfect for the piece, but also it's important to keep a spirit of play, I think, on film sets. It is where you go to, construct drama and dreams and imagination, and they brought that in spades every day.
So that's Jod from the Kneel Before Jod tale, talking Skeleton Crew. It's great to hear from him how excited he is to be in the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah. I mean, basically, he's the same age as me. I know I look a lot younger, but but the fact that he has got the same sort of emotional connection to Star Wars as I had, which was, to me, once I'd seen Star Wars, he nailed it in what he said there, which is that having seen Star Wars at the cinema, the two were always intrinsically linked. going to the cinema to me was always like hearing that 20th century fanfare again every single time. And it didn't matter what I was going to go and see, it always took me back to Star Wars. So he nailed that, absolutely.
Yeah. Next up, we talked about how cold it was at the photo call. We can go and see two frozen children in KB and Fern now, and see what their thoughts are of being made to stand out in the cold in London.
This is Neil Afterjod.
Yes.
This is so exciting. Yeah, I love London. It's so beautiful. When I saw a double-decker bus, I almost cried because I love the Smiths. There's a light that never goes out. I love it. Yeah, London is amazing, and I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, it's really exciting.
I play Fern in the new Star Wars series Skeleton Crew, and Fern is going through this transitionary period in her life that we all kind of go through, and she's finding who she is and her relevance to the world.
Looking all the way to your right for a moment.
Yeah, she's growing up in a society where there's a lot of expectations. Wow, there's so much excitement going on. Growing up in a society with a lot of expectations, and you know, as for anyone, it's hard, but getting through it.
I play KB. My character's more on like the quiet side. She's introverted like me. She's really resourceful and thoughtful, and she's kind of like a protector for the group, and she kind of balances out with Fern. Like Fern brings out the best in her, and KB brings out the best.
And sometimes Fern needs the guidance.
Yeah,
from her.
And I feel like Fern's character really helps like KB like speak up for herself and kind of like we balance each other out, which is really amazing, and we all make a really good team, which is awesome.
Working with everyone is kind of like a dream, and you know, going with the story, like we were kind of going on our own adventure together, so it was really fun.
I was so excited when I figured out that I was going to be working with a bunch of kids, and knowing that we would be going through the same things together, and especially like being part of such a big franchise. It was a little scary, but everyone really helps, and it was amazing. My dad's always been a big fan, my brothers too, and it's really amazing now being part of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's been so exciting. I've always been a fan. I'm pretty sure I manifested this. So this is an honor, and I'm so excited, and this is just the beginning.
And if you didn't notice there, KB standing there with a hot water bottle.
I thought that. From that angle, it looked like it was sewing on.
Yeah. But yeah, great to hear from them. And of course, last but not least, everyone's favourite, Neil, appears to be. He has taken the internet by storm. We've also got a little clip with Neil and Wim, I think is last up, so we'll check that out as well.
It's insane. It's so fun that we're going international and we're getting to, you know.
You go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's so fun. It's such an honor being a part of this because it's such a crazy big universe, and the fact that we're even if it's a small part, we're a part of the Star Wars universe, and that's crazy.
I feel like London is like its own planet, which is just like it's so cool too.
That's
and I
such a
think it
fun
really
vibe,
kind of fits. Yeah, and it definitely like fits like kind of the vibe of Skeleton Crew. So I really enjoy that about London. And I think it's really cool that we're actually introducing it to more the London area, you know.
Yeah. Wim is keyword dreamer. He's definitely a dreamer. He's imaginative. He's fun. Yeah, you know, he's lighthearted. I feel like, you know, every kid goes through. They ponder their place in the universe and place in the galaxy, so to speak, and that's what he's going through throughout the show, and it's that sustained concept of feeling throughout the whole series, except over each episode it changes. Even if it's subtle, it changes, and it's a lot of fun to play into that.
Yeah, I would say Neil is definitely a loyal friend, a kind soul, and I think he's just kind of there for everybody when you need it the most.
They're all so amazing,
They're
and
so
we're all so close in age except for Jude, and that was so much fun.
Yeah.
And Jude is just such a phenomenal actor.
Jude's just so old. He's not hard. Yeah. Seeing all of the other creatures on set, like seeing all of the Jawas, like when I saw Jawa, I almost I flipped out. I was like, well, that is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, I love you know seeing all the other creatures, and there's so many other creatures that you'll see in the show that are so cool, you know.
I think just getting the opportunity was so amazing and so
Definitely, yeah.
lucky and so much fun, and I loved the sets. There were so many unique and fun sets, And I loved playing a Star Wars character. Like, it's so different to play a Star Wars character, but he still feels like a real kid, Wim, which is so. Expect thrill, expect pirates, expect plunder, expect danger, expect fun. It's really a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did.
This is gonna sound really like weird and like cringy, but expect the unknown. You know, like
That's
expect
a good
like
one.
don't be like hooked on to what you're gonna expect. There's so much more that
Expect the unexpected.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm loving Ravi's jacket there. Ravi it plays Vim as well. That's quality. That's the kind of thing I need.
I can see you in that one. A lilac shiny jacket, Bri. That's the future.
That's what I need. I love his enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It's infectious, and I think in the trailers you can sort of see that flow through as well. And having sort of heard from the sort of, I'm going to call them kids because they are kids. I haven't heard from the 4 kids there. They've been brilliantly cast because the real life 4 kids are exactly like how their characters come across in the trailers. You know, so I imagine it's not too difficult for them to get an action performance from them because, you know, their own personalities are so very close to whether it's Neil or KB or Fern or Vim, so very close to them.
They look very excited to be in it, which I'm sure I would have been at that age as well. Yeah, the chemistry looks good. Just fingers crossed that it's as good as I hope it's going to be.
Yep. Also out on YouTube, over on the StarWars.com YouTube as well, you can check out a Filmmakers Roundtable from the showrunners John Watts, Chris Ford, and Bryce Dallas Howard, David Lowry, Jake. I can't even say that name. How do you say it? Jake Shearer?
Jake Schreier?
Yeah, I need to learn these names before we start the show. I really should. All discussing making the project, and they were all incredibly excited. And it's about 11 minutes, I think, the round table. So it's a great watch as well to get you all set for the 2-episode premiere on December 3rd in America, December 4th in the UK.
So when is that? That's 2 weeks away now?
Yep, just over a week. Yeah, less than that. And last up, not least on the Newsfront poll, we hear from Nick Frost.
Ooh.
He's.
I thought we were going to get a clip.
No, I was waiting for you to comment.
Oh, sorry. Well, Nick Frost. I'm a massive fan of Nick Frost anyway. I love everything that he's done with the Cornetto trilogy. I love the fact that he's finally got his chance to be part of the Star Wars galaxy, because obviously his long-time collaborator starred as Unkar Pluck, or whatever his name was in The Force Awakens. I like the way that there's that one poster where it's meant to be the face of that droid character in the background. Very, very cool how they've done that. But yeah, he will be a fun addition. And well, as you can see in there, to him, it's an absolute dream that he's actually playing a Star Wars character. I mean, Bright, if you got the opportunity now, I mean, I know you've done a little bit of work on set with Star Wars over the years, but to be like something significant in a Star Wars show,
I would not be a droid. There's a line everywhere. I would not play a droid.
This could be the way that you finally embrace your hatred and.
No, I would play a droid if it was like K2SO
An
and it's got a
Imperial.
death scene. I would play
An
that,
Imperial
and
droid.
I would milk that for all it's worth. I could play a torture droid. You know, I could burn in the feet of a gonk. That I could do that. But yeah, I'd be limited to just droids dying or droids hurting each other. That would be anything else. Anything that tries to make them your friend, right?
Yeah.
I'm not friends with my mobile phone. Right?
I would just love to be.
It's a functioning piece of tool.
Yeah, I'd love to be a background character in a cantina or something like that. Just sort of like just enough so that maybe an action figure would come out. That would be my big ambition, to have a proper, full on action figure brought out for me. That would be great. But yeah, it is an ambition of mine to eventually either appear in a film or a TV series of Star Wars. It's that one. I'd love to do that. Love it.
If you want to hear more from Nick Frost, tune in to Making Tracks on Fanta Tracks Radio and your podcast choice. He'll be appearing in the first show in December, I believe.
Fantastic.
For
And
an
there's also
exclusive interview as well.
and Making Tracks.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was saying, on Making Tracks, hopefully there'll be some interviews with Mark Newbold with some of the cast members as well.
Yeah, from that photo call that we've just saw the videos from as well. We'll get exclusive Fanta Tracks interviews on Fanta Tracks Radio for that as well. That is all the news, Paul.
That's it. We've talked over
another week. We have gotten to the end of the show.
We always think we're never going to be able to get an hour out of it. We always go way over.
Way over. If we're the editor's dream, we always produce that little bit extra content that can cut out. And on this week's show, there's been plenty that would want to cut.
It hardly went wrong at all this week. That's been the problem.
It's not other than me opening my mouth, but we've got that problem every week.
It's like a form of Tourette's, but it's good. It's good.
It is. If people want more, if you want more, you can't wait to next week. Check out fantatracks.com for all your daily Star Wars news. Everything from the films, television, collecting, fashion, gaming, literature, music and art, as well as interviews, coverage from events, podcasts, and reviews.
And if you want even more or more, you can go to Fantatracks social media. We've got Instagram, Facebook, Threads, X, and TikTok. You'll get all sorts of Star Wars content from those.
And if you've ventured away from X to Blue Sky, we do have an account on Blue Sky at fantatracks.com. Not posting content yet because the technology is not quite there to allow us to auto-post, but we will get there. So do follow us if you've joined that platform. Expect content on there very soon.
There's a bit of Blue Sky thinking there. Very nice. I didn't know about that. Thank you. And then, of course, we've got Fantatracks Radio with regular content, broadcast all over the place. Generally, new stuff coming out on a Friday, I believe, Brian.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. What have we got coming up? Do you know?
We've got all the interviews from the UK photo call for Skeleton Crew coming up on the next episode of Making Tracks. Looking forward to that, and of course, as we said, Nick Frost as well, talking about his role coming up. I think December 2nd as well. So lots to look forward to in the build up to Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
And last but not least, of course, you want to be following Fanta Tracks TV, Good Morning Tatooine, that you're watching live streaming every Sunday, Jabba's Court every Wednesday, and honestly, we will have Star Wars gaming very, very soon. I've picked up my new computer on Thursday night, so I am now working very hard to get that here for us. And Mr. Newbold chiming in that Making Tracks 210 is on Tuesday with the photo call interviews and a new Planet Leia very soon as well.
I'm starting to think, though, Brian, that this arcade series, I think what you're doing is you're promoting it 5 years before it happens, a little bit like...
Well, it's the big build-up, really, since they announced the Indiana Jones game, and it's going to be up and running before the Indiana Jones game drops on the 9th of December. This is the thing. It's we're waiting patiently.
All things being equal.
Yeah. Definitely. The problem is having my gaming system in a different room from where I live stream from. That's my issue. Technology. I don't want to have to put up a new system all the way up there. It's like, no.
Do you not fancy having like a breakfast hatch or something between the two rooms? You could do that.
That's what I need, probably. But it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. Apparently, there's a new Start Your Engines imminent as well. Any teasers as to what that's going to be?
Yes. It'll be about the blockade runner. We'll have to. We'll do the interview over Zoom, Mark. We'll get that sorted out.
Blockade runner, the first terrorist ship to be captured by the glorious Empire. So I take it that's going to be the focus of what crimes were committed on board.
It was just a father and daughter sort of situation, you know. It was just a family fallout. You know.
The end of the end of that royal family was the best thing that Tarkin ever did.
And in his slippers too.
Never getting like he's as bad as me. A couple of weeks away. Poor show. Anyway, we've reached the end of the line for tonight. It's gone 10 past 10, so we must wrap up. So it's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from him.
Keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news each and every day on FanthaTracks.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest at FanthaTracks. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow FanthaTracks TV to be alerted to new content and to be a part of our live shows.